Shalom, sisters. It is early in the morning. I've been up since like 4. I wasn't able to sleep, so I don't know. I'm really rested. I feel really great, but I'm just an early riser. I usually wake up about this time every morning anyway. Please, excuse my voice. It's a little bit on the raspy side early in the morning. Get myself a little drink of water here. I've been thinking about something, and it's cyclical. Today is Good Friday. And even before I came into the truth, when I was a child, this day bothered me. Easter and all of the holidays. I aggravated my mother. She was a minister. She was a Church of God minister. And I just really worried her. I worried her about Christmas trees, Easter eggs. Why did we have to have an Easter egg hunt? What has Christmas got to do with the birth of Jesus, and all this stuff? So the Ruach was working on me early. So I just wanted to touch base with you really quick. I thought I would write a little article in our Facebook page, Black Hebrew Israelite Believers, and I thought that's going to take a long time, and I like to talk anyway, so let me just go over what I wanted to talk about, because our people have gone their own way for thousands of years, a couple of thousand years now, and that's why we find ourselves in exile. We've been in exile for, I think the biblical scholars say that we've been in exile for 2,700 years. Wake up. Christianity is not Yahweh's prescribed way of worship for the Hebrew people. For anybody, actually. You people in the nations. It's not for you either. But we've gone our own way. We've inherited nothing but lies, nothing that's going to help us. And this is yet another appeal, especially to the Hebrew Israelites, the Negro, the American Negro. We are not Africans. We look the same, but we don't even have the same bloodline. That is why I'm saying the American Negro, Negroes all over the world, we're not African. If you came through the slave trade, if you ended up being, if you're a descendant of a slave, of an African slave that came through the slave trade, you are a Negro and you are a Hebrew. So, there's all kind of information on the World Wide Web about that, and I don't feel like there's anything more that I could add to that. There's videos. I put the videos out on our Facebook pages, and it's not getting much of a hit because people are just passing over it. We are so hypnotized. We are so asleep and so set in our ways. We're interested in what's happening with our baseball team, our sports team, basketball team, or whatever. We're interested in the newest clothes, the newest fashion, what's on TV. Cable TV has people mesmerized. Shut it off. Because a lot of people will bring that TV into their homes. and they will let it just sit there and play. And if you are a person of faith, that TV can undo years of biblical teaching. To you? Maybe not necessarily to you, but to the children. It unteaches everything that you're teaching. Shut that thing off and sit down. But anyway, sit down with the children and have a conversation. Have them unplug. Okay, tonight is the Erev Shabbat, and I'm gonna be here what's happened to my lip? Here in an hour or two, I'll start putting the finishing touches on our Shabbat observance, our family Shabbat observance, Shabbat observance, and unplug. When the children come here, we're sitting at the dinner table. My grandchildren, my children are grown, and they're part of the people who are hypnotized. They're not paying much attention, but I still talk to them and I pray, hoping that one day the light bulb will come on. So, guys, if you're listening to this, my nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and all Hebrew Israelites, wake up. Okay, I want to dispel this myth of Good Friday. Yeshua, it would have been mathematically impossible for Mashiach to be crucified on Friday, to die Friday just before the Sabbath, and 3 days later on Sunday rise. It's mathematically impossible because Scripture says he would be in the ground 3 days and 3 nights. So that's a lie. You need to examine why you're doing what you're doing, and if it's not biblical, scrub it. Yes, it will hurt missing all those Easter egg hunts and it's okay to get new clothes on Passover if you want to do that. It's okay to get new clothes anytime, but examine yourself all the time to find out, is what you're doing prescribed by our Elohim, our God? So I want to go to the book of, Matthew, chapter 27, and I'm going to start at verse 33, the crucifixion. I hope you can see that, the crucifixion. Sisters, grab your Bibles and let's talk about this thing, because a lot of our Hebrew Israelite sisters who are not walking in truth now are going to grab their kids and head to the nearest Easter egg hunt. Some of them aren't even going to go to church. They're just going to go to the Easter egg hunts. That right there should prove to you that you are way off base. And I'm not here to fuss at anybody. It is an appeal, a public appeal to stop the madness, because that is why the Negroes, the descendants of the slaves, we find ourselves in the place that we are now. Our kids are being killed by the cops. We are a byword. Everything that's happening, the curse of Deuteronomy 28, that's what we're smack in the middle of. And it's because of stuff like this. So I'm appealing to you. Your pastor in church is not going to appeal to you this way. And they should have done it. But they didn't even know. Some of them are waking up to the truth, and I praise Yah about it. And I'm praying that more pastors will wake up to the truth Stop organizing these Easter egg hunts. Stop having sunrise services and such, because it's just a mockery. It's a mockery of the Most High. And when you find out the origin of these things, then you'll know why I say that it is a mockery of the Most High. Okay, I'm going to start reading at verse 33. And when they had came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, they gave Yeshua wine to drink mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he refused to drink. And after they had crucified him, which means after they had actually hung him up there on the cross while he's in the passion, while he's dying, they divided his garments by casting lots. Okay, they gambled for his clothing. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there, and they placed over his head the written charge against him. This is Yeshua, the King of the Jews. 2 revolutionaries were crucified with him. So let's look up that word revolutionaries and find out. Because I heard it was thieves. That's what the general thought was, but I'm learning to question everything now that I've learned that so much of my religious teaching was not necessarily religious teaching at all, but it was just indoctrination and propaganda and whatnot. That it wasn't true. It just wasn't true. Revolutionaries. Rent, reveal, revive, revolvable, revolutionize. I love books and I love big books. These are old dictionaries that I found. No, it was a set of encyclopedias. And I think that I got them out of the refuse bin at the discount bookstore. I didn't have room for them, so I had to get rid of the encyclopedias. Now, I'm very sad that I did that. But I did keep the dictionaries that went with them. I wished I'd have kept them all. I love old books, and I love the books that you can hold. I mean, you can get a lot more information on the World Wide Web, but I just love books. Anyway, revolutionary. This is what the World Book Dictionary, and I think it's from 1960 something, 1970 something. It's an old one. Smells great. Okay. Revolutionary. Of a revolution, connected with a revolution. Police. It's got to be a better. Okay, let's look at a revolution. A revolution is a complete overthrow of an established government or political system. So these guys must have been protesters. The American Revolution from 1763 to 1783 gave independence to the colonies. So these people were connected to an attempt to overthrow the government. So, yeah, I could see why they would put Mashiach in between 2 revolutionaries, because he was a rebel himself. He was, he had come to set the captives free from so much corruption within our system, within the system of the Pharisees and the Jew and the rabbis and such were in the middle of corruption. So I guess that's why he came to the Hebrew first, then to the nations. He had some business to straighten out, maybe. Okay. So the 2 revolutionaries were crucified with him, one on his right and the other on his left. Those passing by reviled him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself, if you are the Son of God, and come down from the cross. Likewise, the chief priests and the scribes and elders mocked him and said, "He saved others, he cannot save himself. So he is the king of Israel. Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe him." They probably would not have. They probably would have said he was operating under some sort of demonic force. Oh, I'll get to that later. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now if he wants him. For he said, "I am the Son of God." The revolutionaries who were crucified with him also kept abusing him in the same way. Okay, the death of Yeshua. I'm starting at verse 45. Okay, from noon onward, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. About 3 o'clock, Yeshua cried out with a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Some of the bystanders who heard it said, "This one is calling for Elijah." Immediately, one of them ran to get a sponge. He soaked it in wine and put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. But the rest said, "Wait, let us see if Elijah comes to save him." But Yeshua cried out again in a loud voice and gave up his spirit. And behold, the veil of the sanctuary was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked, rocks were split, tombs were opened, and the bodies of many saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming from their tombs after his resurrection, they entered the holy city and appeared to many. The centurion and the men with him who were keeping watch over Yeshua feared greatly when they saw the earthquake and all that was happening, and they said, "Truly, this was the Son of God." There were many women there, looking on from a distance, who had followed Yeshua from Galilee, ministering to him. Among them were Mary Magdalene, and the mother of Yeshua, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. The burial of Yeshua. It says Jesus, but I changed it to Yeshua. When it was evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was himself a disciple of Yeshua. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Yeshua. Then Pilate ordered it to be handed over. Taking the body, Joseph wrapped it in clean linen, laid it in his new tomb that he had hewn in the rock. Then he rolled a huge stone across the entrance to the tomb and departed, but Mary Magdalene and the other Mary remained sitting there, facing the tomb. The guard at the tomb. The next day, the one following the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember that this impostor, while he was alive, said, 'After 3 days I will be raised up.' Give orders then that the grave be secured until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come and steal him and say to the people, 'He has been raised from the dead.' This last impostor would be worse than the first." I'm sorry, it says this last imposture would be worse than the first. Pilate said to them, "The guard is yours. Go secure it as best you can." So they went and secured the tomb by fixing a seal on the stone and setting the guard. Okay, chapter 28 says, after the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning. There is where people get it wrong. After the Sabbath. Okay, some weeks you have I really don't like this. This is an interpretive Bible, and I should have gotten a King James. But it does say as the first day of the week is dawning. Okay, in biblical economy, the biblical calendar, a day begins at twilight. Some say when you see 3 stars in the sky, that is the beginning of a biblical day. Like in the book of Genesis, when the accounting of the creation is written, when you read that, it says, and the evening and the morning was the first day, and such. So, this had to begin at, it says, as the first day of the week was dawning. This was in the evening. If a day dawns at twilight, it had to be in the evening. As the Sabbath, during Havdalah, when the Sabbath is coming to a close. So we'd say Saturday night. Found a piece of paper. Let me see if I can draw a diagram. Alright, scripture, which we believe to not be false. Yeah, there's been some tampering around with different versions of the Bible, but there's enough in there to get you through, to cause you to maintain your salvation. Yahweh would not allow us to be totally spiritually shipwrecked. Okay? So, 3 days and 3 nights. Alright, I'm going to say Saturday. Saturday Sabbath. Alright, you see that? Saturday Sabbath. Alright, you got the day. I'll draw a line here to delineate the day and the night. Up above will be during the day. Down below it will be the night. The evening. Alright. Let's see. Night. Alright. When you see alright. So during the day we have the Sabbath. And then at night you go through the day, and at twilight that's the beginning of a new day, and the first day of the week is dawning. Saturday at twilight. Alright, let's count back. 3 nights. So it would be Saturday, Friday, Thursday. Those would be the 3 nights. Friday, and then Saturday. We'll put twilight right here. Okay, this line would be twilight. Okay, when a new day is dawning. Thursday, Wednesday, all right. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm talking about. See my little chart here? All right, we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the Saturday Sabbath. Okay? Now we've got Wednesday would have had to been the time that he was actually crucified. All right, he had to be in the ground 3 days and 3 nights. All right. So, crucified Wednesday. The first night he's in the ground. Thursday is the first day he was in the ground. Second night he's in the ground. Second day that he's in the ground. Saturday. The beginning of Saturday, the Sabbath. Third day that he's in the ground. This goes into the third day. It is the Sabbath. He cannot rise during the Sabbath, during the Shabbat. As Saturday is coming to a close, it's Saturday evening, the beginning of Sunday, he rises on Saturday evening. Okay? At night, at that time, it would have been dangerous for women to be out traveling alone, or even in little small groups of women. So obviously, they had to wait until daylight. Mashiach would have known that they were coming and left somebody to watch out for them. So this dispels the myth of Good Friday. You see what I'm saying? Wednesday, he's crucified. This is during the time of the Passion. The Crucifixion. And then death. Okay. Wednesday, Yeshua's on the cross. The Passion, the Crucifixion. Now, some versions of the Bible, and I don't know why that one didn't have it on there, but it says they had to get his body taken care of before the Sabbath started. Okay? Some people think that they meant Friday. I guess that's where the Good Friday comes in. But there's some weeks that there's actually 2 Sabbaths in the same week. Okay? The first day of Passover is a Sabbath. So, if they were trying to get him down before the Passover, before that Sabbath started, that might have been, I'll say that was the Passover week, since we've been told to observe the Passover, not Easter, not Ishtar, not the sex goddess, not fertility, but the Passover. Okay? So, he's in the ground 3 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He's in the ground 3 nights. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He could not be in the ground for a 4th day. So he had to have risen Saturday night. And at twilight, that's the beginning of another day. So it would have been the beginning of the first day of the week. So I hope that this helped, because my heart is really, it hurts every year. I tell my grandchildren this, and we studied about the origin of Easter. Easter Ishtar, Ashtoreth. It is a pagan goddess. And some of the biblical scholars are saying that Nimrod married a woman named Semiramis. Nimrod became the enemy of God because of all of his pagan ways. He was responsible, I think, for building the Tower of Babel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm right. And then Nimrod dies. People elevate him to the Baal, the sun god. They say he's now the sun god. Semiramis gets pregnant at some point after her husband Nimrod dies. And she says that she actually got pregnant by the sun. Well, maybe it might have been an incubus spirit that impregnated her. I wasn't there. I'm not going to say. But she said that she got pregnant by the sun. Okay? The child that she has is a boy. He's born on December 25th. His name is Tammuz. Eventually, she marries Tammuz, her son, saying that is Nimrod. I believe that's the way it goes. But Tammuz is born on December the 25th. Okay? At some point in the spring, I guess, I don't know when this happens, Semiramis dies. She dies. She goes up to the Baal. He's not ready for her. Baal puts her in a big egg, changes her into a bunny, puts her into this big egg. It crashes down into the Euphrates River, and then out comes this egg-laying rabbit, and that is Semiramis. So you see, this is how this stuff gets started, because the Catholic Church at some point invited these pagans in. Constantine wanted to unite all of Rome, so he felt like a good way to do it would be in the church. So he said, just come on, bring your pagan ways, and we'll find a way to bless it. So once we find out the origin of why we do things, if it's against Yahweh, if it makes a mockery of the gospel, and if it makes us, we people who are the children of Yahweh, into a bunch of people who've gone whoring after other gods, let's change it. Sunrise service. As an act of sun god worship, they would go up in the spring and they would worship the sun, worship Baal. And then the priest would deflower young virgins. And also these young virgins would give birth on December 25th. They had it worked out just perfectly. The ones who got pregnant when they were deflowered gave birth on December 25th. During the sun god worship, sunrise service, they would sacrifice these babies, and they would take eggs, boiled eggs, and dip it in the blood of these babies. So the Catholic Church found a way to bless that and put a new name on it, but we, the people of Yah, don't have any business participating in that. Please stop bringing your children to sunrise services, stop participating in sunrise services, and stop dyeing eggs. I hear that the official color of the White House Easter egg is crimson red, ruby red. Okay, I've been on here, I looked at the timer, and I've been talking to you, my dear friends, for 34 minutes. It's now 20 minutes till 6. Gotta get my husband up. Before I go, I want to recommend a really good book to you. It's a quick read, or you can just use it as your doctor's office book, or you're waiting for your kid to finish whatever they're doing book. It's by Derek Prince, the late Derek Prince, and it's called Pulling Down Strongholds. Being a Hebrew is not a religion. It is a way of life. Anybody can be a Jew. All you have to do is convert. But you have to be born a Hebrew. It has to be in your blood. And but anyway, the spiritual part of this, we are spiritual, we are spirits in a material world. Part of this is spiritual warfare, and we need to know how to do it, because as the time draws more near, we're going to need to be really rooted and grounded in our Father, and we're going to need to know how to repel evil spirits, unclean spirits. Good book. I recommend it. Okay, let's end in a word of prayer. Father Yah, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I come to you thanking you for this day, thanking you for the rest, thanking you for all of the blessings for me and for my friends out there who are watching this video. Please let it be received in the way that it was put out there. It is a public appeal for the Hebrew Israelites, the Negro, to stop the madness. Stop doing crazy stuff over and over again and expecting a different result. A lot of people are walking around saying, I'm blessed and highly favored, and they can't even meet their car note. Why? Because they've gone their own way. Bless us today. Build a hedge of protection around our children and our families, our property, from retaliation spirits who might want to derail everything. Please let this video cause some people to make shuvah, to turn around and start making the transition back into the ways of our Father through the blood of Mashiach. We bless you. Now unto the only wise Father, our God our Father, be glory, majesty, dominion, and power, now and forevermore. Amen. Okay, friends, thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time. I'll wish you an early Shabbat Shalom.